There we go. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Growing Your Business in Berlin Post-COVID, brought to you by the German-American Chamber of Commerce, Colorado chapter, featuring speaker Dr. Kai Bindseil from Berlin Partner. This event is supported by the Denver Economic Development and Opportunity Office, and it is being recorded, as is noted on your screen. So if you're not comfortable with that, you may want to exit this discussion at this moment. And yeah, if you have any questions today for our speaker, you can go ahead and enter them in the chat bar, which you can access usually at the bottom of your screen. There's a little pop-up that'll show up where you can enter your questions. So my name is William Reed. I am the Executive Director of the German-American Chamber of Commerce Colorado chapter. We are an organization that is devoted to the improvement of investment and trade relations between Germany and the state of Colorado. Our chapter, the Colorado chapter, is the exclusive representative of GACC Midwest in the state of Colorado, and we host many events like this one, as well as networking opportunities throughout the year. We are a membership organization, so if you'd like to learn more about that, definitely check out our website, which is GACC-CO.org, where you can learn more. Today, we're going to be learning about how your company can launch, innovate, expand, and secure its economic future in Berlin. Especially when thinking about this post-COVID world that we're living in, where events like this one are very virtual. Without further ado, I'd love to introduce you to Dr. Kai Bindseil. He is poised to provide expert insight into the latest opportunities and strategies for business growth, innovation, and collaboration in Berlin. And he is with Berlin Partner. So I'm going to actually stop sharing my screen so he can introduce himself and share his screen. So you take it away, Dr. Bindseil. And I believe you're on mute.
Well, wait a second, should work. There we are, there we are. So you can see my slides, everything is fine for you?
Yep, it looks good. If you want to expand it to the full window.
Yeah, I will do so, which is, so it's a long line actually to Denver, Colorado from Berlin, Germany. So, but I think now it's fine, yo. So warm welcome, good morning to you guys in Denver. Here it's early evening. So it's a warm summer evening. It's not hot. It's everything very convenient. If you go outside, you would think nothing has happened in the last months actually. To be honest, and then of course I will give you some information with regard to COVID and the corona infections. The crisis here was actually, let's say, March and April. In entire Germany, we have right now some 500 new infections a day. In Berlin, the number should be around 20 to 30. So it's quite small. It's very located to specific hotspots, which is mainly right now the meat industry. Certain churches, certain environments, but right now the streets are quite full. And then why this happens so quite good in Germany, we could discuss quite in the end. Let me briefly describe Berlin Partner. We are the Economic and Innovation Development Corporation of the City of Berlin. We are a public-private partnership with more than 280 partners from the industry. We have 4 big jobs. First is inbound acquisition. Second, this might be the most important, support for companies to expand and secure their economic future in Berlin. So help Berlin companies. We are doing all the Berlin city marketing except the tourism marketing. And we are very heavy in innovation support, which we are doing by the way of cluster development. So Berlin is a city of science, and I will come back to this later. And we will want to make sure that the results of science have an impact on the economic development of the city of Berlin. This is our structure. We are more than 200 people, so we are not a small business. We have 5 divisions. 1 is for marketing, 1 is for internal businesses, and 3 is our industries. And I'm the head of the middle column, health, industry, and infrastructure, coming from the biotech and pharma industry, originally trained as a doctor in medicine and pharmacology and chemistry. One sense as to our shareholders. We have mixed shareholdership by the Investment Bank of Berlin, the Technology Foundation, the Chambers of Commerce and of the industries, and as mentioned, 280 partners that are paying money into our company year by year in between 10 and $100,000 per company. So the industry contribution is a very significant portion of what we can actually do. Coming back in just one slide to the COVID activities. Out of a sudden, 16th of March, the world changed for us. No inbound acquisition, no technology, no events. So actually, we are running more than 100 events as a company per year, bringing people together. And out of a sudden, it was not possible anymore to bring people together. We created hotlines for us and for the investment bank, really to support companies in grants by the federal government. We had town hall calls for up to 1,000 companies on different topics in different languages: German, English, Turkish language. We have quite a big Turkish community here of 300,000 people in Berlin. We have been in individual support for our 2,000 key account companies. We had matching platforms for jobs. We had matching platforms for medicinal and protective masks. And the second big column was a support for the Berlin administration in the political communication, in the letters of our governing major to the people. We were developing strategies to overcome the economic crisis in several industry sectors. We were working on the supply and distribution of medical materials, which was a huge problem all over the world. Today, there's too much mask actually available and too much ventilators available, but at that time, it was a huge problem. And we were active in the realization of a new Corona 1,000-bed hospital in less than 6 weeks. Politics would say less than 4 weeks, but to be honest, it has been 6 weeks that we were working. This is the Corona story. Corona right now in Berlin is quite under control. Nobody knows what happens in fall and when people go into flights to the world back. We just could hope that things on the therapy and side will improve. Coming to my general Berlin story, Berlin has a long history, a rich history, but I started in 1989 with this slide, just commenting the growth of the Berlin economy started with tearing down a wall, not with building a wall, but with tearing down a wall, bringing people together. Today, 30 years later, there's a lot of reasons for Berlin. We are the German capital. We are a very central location. We are a meeting point. Real estate is interesting here. We are a brain city. We are a city of startups. And we are a smart city, and we offer quality of life. And I will give you some details with regard to this. Probably most of you have already been sometime in Germany. Some of you fly perhaps sometime. And in Berlin, Berlin is the second biggest city in the European Union, behind London. Paris is smaller, not greater Paris, but Paris in its city limit has just 2.5 million people. Our population of 3.6 million, of course, on the other hand, is small compared to Asian big cities. It's by far the largest city. We have a lot of room here, which is interesting, of course, for the industry. And we have a state surrounding Berlin, the state of Brandenburg, where there's really lots and lots of room. So there's a lot of possibility to develop even gigafactories. And as some of you guys will have heard, there is the biggest project is now the Tesla gigafactory, which is under construction since January without no COVID limitations at all. So this thing is running. Next thing I would like to bring to your mind, Berlin is Germany's digital city, due to the reason that a lot of young people like to come to Berlin. They are interested, of course, in digital solutions. And as a city-state, it is quite easy to really to get the right connection. So if you think to doing some digital business in Germany, definitely Berlin would be the place to be. From our history, the city was separated for 40 years in the west and in the east. Right now, there's a number of big, really big development projects, especially old airports that are still in operation. But in October, our new airport will start, and then we have here a big airport that has to be developed, Adlershof, a city of science that has to be developed. So there is really a lot of free space, and then there is a big office market. In the office market, of course, Berlin has become quite full. So right now in offices, there is less than 2% free office space available, which is numbers from pre-COVID. So of course, COVID will create some new opportunities with regard to this, as many companies will change their work habits, and then there will be more remote solution. This is just some photos from those areas that are currently developed. And what is quite interesting, this thing right there left in the top Europe city is really 500 meters next to the main railway station, and 1 kilometer from the office of Council Manager. So there is still possibilities really right in the middle of the city. Right now, prices are still affordable. Prices are 1/3 to 50% of comparable prices to London or Paris. So probably 1/3 to London, half to Paris. It is quite financially attractive to come to Berlin. Besides those big development areas, there's a lot of locations, technology parks that are under development or are available for different industries. Adlershof is more for engineering activities. Buch, for example, would be for the life science area. Charlottenburg is here right 500 meters from me on the campus of the Technical University. There's a clean tech park and so on. So a lot of possibilities. What you might not know, because for long years Berlin was known as poor but sexy, it's a location for international business, or has become a location for international business, with some significant brands here, brands that have not only their capital office here. BMW is producing each and every motorbike the company is producing out of Berlin. Bayer is running their pharma business from here. Pfizer is running their European business from here. Google, IBM, Oracle, SAP, Biotonic, which is running really in heart valves and things like this. Amazon. So a lot of big global companies have become partners of Berlin, partners of our companies, and take use of our environment. We have clustered our areas where we are interested in, which is healthcare industry, which is IT, media, creative industries, especially in the area of fintechs, photonics, manufacturing industry, mobility and logistics, and energy. And just to mention one more industry, which is fashion. We are not Milan and perhaps not Paris, but especially in the area of young fashion, of design, Berlin has become quite an interesting place to do business here. I've already talked a little bit about the concentration of academics. 3 big universities with the Humboldt University, the Free University, which has been founded by US partners after the World War, and the Technical University, some 200,000 students with a high degree of international students here in Berlin. If you ask companies why they come to Berlin, the most thing is because they are sure to find talent in Berlin, either from our universities or research institutes, or because young people like to come to Berlin. And Yeah. One thing to be mentioned here, beside universities, the research in Germany is done by research organizations. Some of you might have heard Fraunhofer, Max Planck, Leibniz, and Helmholtz societies. There's more than 70 of these research facilities here in Berlin on nearly each and every topic. Coming to startups, there has been little traditional industry in Berlin after the separation by the Berlin Wall. Some of them have come back, I've shown you, and now it's really a boom in startups. Every year there's more than 500 tech startups with 40,000 employees, and this is attracting a lot of venture capital. Of course, venture capital is not as strong as in the US. But if you're looking in a typical year in Berlin, in the last years, more than 3 billion euro have been invested in Berlin-based companies. And this is roughly 2/3 of the venture capital invested in entire Germany. And we are always on the top 3, 1, 2, 3 positions in a fight with London and Paris. So Berlin has become the venture capital city of Berlin. And the last impressions I would like to give you is the location. There's a lot of water, there's a lot of quality of life, there's a lot of culture. Operas, theaters, museums, galleries. Well, Simon Rappel has left the city. Daniel Barenboim is still there. A lot of UNESCO World Heritage Sites, palaces. Always worth to spend a week in Berlin on holidays. We are a very liberal city, an international city, a tolerant city. I think this is true for Denver as well. So a lot of activities by very diverse communities here in the city. And it's livable. There's public park, cycling, restaurants, bars are very popular, 24 hours a day. One thing is missing, mountains. Mountains you have in Denver, so sorry, we don't have. So thank you very much for your interest. I'm in the end of the presentation and then would be more than happy to answer your questions, and I would give the floor back to you, William.
Great, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for that overview. I think there's a lot of really direct comparisons with Denver. I mean, Denver is also known as a startup city. It's been rising in tech for a little while now, and it's been growing exponentially over, I guess, probably the last 10 years or so. I guess one of the first questions that I have would be, obviously moving from any country into another country, moving your business can come with a lot of challenges. Working with Berlin Partner, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about maybe the most common challenge that companies experience when moving into Berlin in particular, or maybe into Germany as a whole.
Well, typically we have, of course, not a situation where a total company comes from the US and going to Berlin. You're opening a branch, an activity. Typically, you're starting with business development, sales, things like this. The typical questions my colleagues are involved with is finding a place, getting work permits for people from abroad, might be finance, might be questions with regard to your status as an incorporated, tax questions, and so on. We are available to help with regard to location. We are available with regard to people, to human resources. We are prepared to help with the network. So tax questions, things like this, we don't handle ourselves, but we have lists of lawyers that are specialized for things like this to support you. Our services are always free. And our partners, which I mentioned in the beginning, that are paying us, this is more for, is only the existing partners in the city, and this is mainly focused on marketing activities.
Great. I'm receiving a couple of questions, and I just want to remind the rest of the audience that if they have a question, they can enter it in the chat, or you can, I think we're an intimate enough group where we can, you can just speak up and ask your questions. One that I received in the chat was in regard to differences in working environments between the United States and Germany. Are you able to tell us, well, and even actually in this like post-COVID world, I know a lot of us here in Colorado have moved to working from home, which is very new for us, at least on this scale. So I was wondering if you could talk to us a little bit about maybe some of those, the office culture and what's different.
Well, what we have seen in the last years, pre-COVID, was the rise of co-working opportunities. Many companies starting businesses here started in co-working spaces. We as a company, we had a very traditional concept until 3 years ago. So always one or two person in one office. This office was even closed, so nobody could look in. Things are much more open right now. There's very flexible solutions you will find quite often in Germany right now. You will find the same co-working brands as you know from the US probably. And this has become very popular. And there is much more. So I think 3-4 years, I think we were more like the old tradition of the East Coast of the US, and then now we are a little bit more West Coast and then Californian style. So people right now we are in a phase that 50% of our people are in the office. There is still some distance rules, but there will be in the next 10 years much more remote working than we have seen before.
Gotcha. One question that I'm not sure if you may know the answer or not. Obviously, the world is a very different place right now, especially in terms of international travel. Do you have any insight as to what that's looking like for Germany, for Europe? Obviously, the United States, it might be a little while before we're allowed to go back over, but if you could give us an overview of what's going on over there.
Well, so just to give you some figures. So the typical number of passengers at Berlin airports in a summer was 120 to 130,000 people every day. It has been the last week of June, it has been up to 10,000. We are expecting the last week of July about 20 to 25,000. And we think that towards October, we will get back to 30,000. For the future, we will see less national air travel. So Germany is quite small compared to the US. So there will be more rail travel for the future, which fits actually to our climate interest to reduce short flights. Internationally, well, it's still difficult. So it's open for us again to travel in Europe. Since today there's a list of 11 more countries, which includes Australia and New Zealand. However, nobody would know how to come to New Zealand right now, so it would be quite a difficult travel. US is not on the list right now. To be honest, I personally have been to the US at least once, maybe two times or 3 times a year since 1994. This will be the first year I will not go to the US probably, and then I hope the next thing would be the HIMSS, which would be Las Vegas, which is not my premium destination, but anyway, in spring next year. By this time, I think it might be reasonable as well. But air travel will be difficult. You might have seen in Lufthansa, the German state is investing 9 billion euro. I don't think that this is enough, but we will see.
So this is a shorter presentation today, so we do have only about 6 more minutes, and we want to be cognizant of everyone's time. A couple different questions coming in. So Dr. Bindseil, one question for you is, how do you see Brexit affecting Germany's role in Europe, as well as the encroachment of China as its Belt and Road strategy comes across the Balkans?
Wow. I will concentrate on the European question. The Chinese development is not good for all of us in the moment. You can still hear me? Yeah, I've a strange sign here. Can you hear me, William?
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
I can see.
Okay,
Yes.
good. So China was a special Hong Kong situation. So now we have another issue with Great Britain. We have this American Chinese issues. Well, I'm not happy with China. Brexit is really a stupid thing by the Britons, but they are in it, and then they don't came out of it. And we have once again not a leader, I think, who's doing good for the country with Boris. For us, it will change not really too much. We have seen and still have a lot of interest from companies that will not totally relocate from London, but that see that they need a stronger European presence. The most companies of this type will go probably to Amsterdam or Brussels, so the Netherlands or Belgium. It's nearer for them. It's a little bit more English even with regard to language. What we have seen is a number of startups, fintechs, pharma and medtech companies that say, okay, I would like to go to Berlin.
Great. Another one just came in, which is in regards to grants and visas. The question is, do you offer financial incentives such as grants or tax breaks to attract companies or startups to Berlin? Or is it such a popular location that you no longer really need to do that? And then a follow-up, what is the situation for visas to work in Europe from the United States? Is it easy, difficult?
No, starting with the visa situation, this is easy as long as you have an employee. Yeah, if a company says I need this expert, so if somebody from you is building up an office here with 5 people and say 3 of them have to come from the US. So you found a small location here, you found a German incorporated, and then you just bring in the people. And for this, our company has the shortcut actually. So these questions are typically solved in 2 weeks. Yeah, would be more difficult if you have a lot of people in medical care coming from Russia or so. Then it could be more easy. But to have really high potentials in the business area or engineering or whatsoever, no problem with it. Yes, Berlin is offering grants. Germany is offering grants. What you do not get is individual tax incentives. This is totally unknown in Germany, but there is grants for investments, for hiring people, for doing research, quite a broad instrumentarium of activities. And my colleagues would be more than helpful if there's an interest to give you more details on this.
Since we're closing up, what is the best way to reach you? Should they just go to your website?
They should go to our website or send me an email. And you have my email, William. You send all the participants my email, and whoever is interested should contact me directly.
Absolutely. Yep. So everyone who is registered will be sending a follow-up email with the recording of this session, and we'll be sure to include your contact information in there as well. And a link to the Berlin Partner website. Great. Well, I mean, we just have 1 minute left. So if Dr. Bindseil, if you have any closing remarks, otherwise I can just say thank you.
Yeah, well, I have to thank you. You still have a long day of work for you, and I can go now to a restaurant. So
nice, yeah.
I wish all of you a happy 4th. I really was thinking who is still working on the 2nd of July, but so have good days with your friends and family, and then stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Bindseil, and thank you to Berlin Partner. Yeah, so we're very excited to have had you here today, and again, we'll be sending this out to everyone who has registered so that they can check this out a little bit later on YouTube if they were unable to join us today. But yeah, and again, thank you very much. And one last thing, the GACC is a membership organization, and we're able to do these types of things because of that membership. So if you're not a member yet, definitely check out our website, which is GACC-CO.org, and we can get you signed up. So thank you so much, and yeah, happy 4th, and have a great weekend ahead, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.